This is an introduction to the module Fundamental Security Properties and Mechanisms. This module is given as part of the MSc in Cybersecurity and Artificial Intelligence at the University of Sheffield. Part 1. Fundamental Properties, Identification and Authentication, and Access Control. We often wish to maintain the confidentiality of data stored or processed on our systems, the privacy of personal data, the anonymity of users, or freedom from malicious or accidental modification of data. In this module, we will look at these properties and others, and examine some of the mechanisms available to us to ensure that we get them. Before we authorize access to a system, we need to be able to verify that those attempting access are who they say they are. We require users to identify themselves to our system and require that they provide guarantees of who they say they are. This is known as identification and authentication. Most commonly, real-world users are assigned a user identifier or username and a password. A password is an example of something you know. Another means of authenticating is to demonstrate something you have. I may have a personalized contactless smart card that allows me to open a door. Only I should have access to this card, and so possession of it can be taken as demonstration that I am who I say I am. Finally, my identity may be verified by giving a physiological demonstration of who or someone I am. Fingerprint recognition, for example, is becoming a widely used means of verifying identity, most obviously in the context of smartphones. We will explore these three types of approaches, identifying attacks on them, countermeasures to those attacks, and which approaches are suited to particular system contexts. We need also to decide what resources users can access, what sort of accesses should be granted to them, and how these decisions can be enforced. One major and very common mechanism is discretionary access control, or DAC. This is where individual users are allowed to specify the access rights of other users. Here, user 1 is the owner of file A. User 1 can grant access permissions to other users and grants read access to user 2. User 2 can now read file A, but cannot write to it. Discretionary access control is flexible but has its problems. For example, a Trojan horse may potentially run with the access rights assigned to a user and carry out malicious activities. Also, we would not necessarily trust a user to make access control decisions concerning really important data. Mandatory access control, or MAC, is a mechanism where the system enforces restrictions depending, for example, on how trusted a user requesting access is and the sensitivity of the resource accessed. Here we see that a user with a clearance of secret is not allowed to read a top secret file. The second part of the module is concerned with cryptographic algorithms, stream ciphers, block ciphers, and public key, and also how these algorithms are analyzed. This is generally referred to as crypt analysis. As part of this, we will also look at some unusual ways of breaking algorithms by looking at their timing properties and power consumption profiles. The first major algorithm type we examine is what's generally referred to as a stream cipher. Here we see the outline of a bitwise stream cipher. A key is used to generate a stream of bits, known as a key stream. The key stream bits are logically XORed with the plain text stream bits to produce a corresponding cipher stream. The receiver generates the same key stream from the shared key and bitwise XORs these bits with the received cipher stream to recover the plain text stream. We will explore the theoretical and practical security of ciphers like these. Most encryption is carried out using block ciphers, which encrypt a block of bits to another block of bits in a manner determined by a secret key. The same key, or one easily determined from it, is used to reverse the encryption process, normally referred to as decryption. Mechanisms for distributing such keys, key distribution protocols, are also examined in this module. Stream and block ciphers support much of security, but the advent of public key cryptography increased our ability to guarantee important properties. Public key cryptography involves the use of a pair of keys, one secret or private, usually referred to as the private key, and one public, which is usually referred to as the public key. It generally allows a neat trick to be performed. Particularly, I can advertise my public key to the world. I don't need to keep it secret. If you want to send a message to me in confidence, i.e. in secret, you encrypt the message using my public key. My private key is the inverse of my public key, and under the crucially important assumption that only I have this private key, only I can decrypt your message to recover the original plaintext. In some schemes, the keys can be used the other way round. I can encrypt using my private key, and then anyone can decrypt the resulting message using my public key. Furthermore, if an encrypted message decrypts using my public key to a sensible text, then that encrypted message must have been encrypted using my private key. I cannot deny creating it. This is a form of non-repudiation. A cipher needs to be resilient to an attacker trying every possible key. This is known as brute force search. Modern cryptanalysis is more subtle than that. It aims to detect structural properties in how encryption is performed and seeks to exploit those properties. Here we see how a specific information flow can be traced through a system from plain text to ciphertext. We aim to discover a relationship that can be exploited within the cipher to recover secret key bits. This relationship may hold, for example, between bits of plain text and bits of intermediate ciphertext. The nature of the relationship varies according to the particular cryptanalysis technique used. We shall look at two of the most important, linear cryptanalysis and differential cryptanalysis. We shall also look at how we can engineer ciphers to be resilient to these attacks. Here we see an algorithm for modular exponentiation. This is an important cryptographic component. It produces a value y to the power k mod m, where m is a public modulus and k is a secret n-bit key. But look carefully. In the third line, the assignment to Ri differs in a manner depending on the key bit Ki. Thus, the secret key bit values affect the time taken by this algorithm to execute. If you have the times taken to execute for a number of values of plain text y, you can use these timings to reconstruct the secret key. We can also recover the secret key of many algorithms by monitoring their power consumption profiles. We examine major approaches to power analysis in this module, particularly simple power analysis and differential power analysis, and we explore countermeasures to these. Now let's talk about security protocols. Network users often need to communicate, but their messages need to cross the network and may be subject to eavesdropping. We can secure such communications by arranging for keys to be distributed to two parties who wish to communicate, here Alice and Bob. Eve here is the eavesdropper, listening in and potentially modifying or inhibiting messages. We investigate a number of protocols, key distribution protocols, that allow keys to be distributed to users effectively. We will show how we can prove that such protocols are correct using formal reasoning approaches, such as band logic and other logics. But we may also wish right now to provide guarantees to someone else on the network that we're up and running, and that they really are communicating with who they think they are. We shall look at such guarantees and how they can be provided via specific protocols. Finally, we shall show also how quantum mechanics can be harnessed in a way to distribute secret keys as well.